Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice to radio, so today I am showing you an exclusive new card from the upcoming Sun and Moon 4 expansion Crimson Invasion. Now, I say exclusive new card, at the time I sit down to record this video, the translation for this, I cannot find it anywhere else. Now, there is a decent chance that in the time it takes me to post this video, this card will have been posted elsewhere. Fine, okay, that might happen. You see, I'm not just knocking together a quick announcement for Facebook, I'm doing a full analysis video telling you all about this Pokemon and how it can be used. So, please bear that in mind. But I should say, before I say anything else, it's Beedrill. And I like Beedrill. Beedrill is one of my favourite Pokemon from the original Pokemon game. So, let's start with the basics. Beedrill is a grass Pokemon, which is a little bit meh. You're not really hitting much for weakness at the moment. Maybe Lapras? You had a push? Kind of? Yeah? Woo? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, not the best weakness to be hitting. On Lycanroc as well, if Lycanroc gets big. 120 HP is on the low side for a Stage 2. Free Retreat is amazing. Everyone's been playing Tapu Koko for Free Retreat lately. Having a Free Retreater is awesome, especially in decks like Golisopod, where it's so important to put Golisopod into the active every turn. Having a Free Retreater is great. This is awesome. Weakness to Fire is a bit of a pain because Volcanion, Turtonator, etc. And the baby Volcanion Haynek will be an issue here getting the KO on Beedrill. But you can't have it all, ladies and gentlemen. The Free Retreat alone is pretty nice. So, what does Beedrill actually do? Well, both the attacks are for 1 grass energy. Yay! And the first one, single grass energy, 10 damage. If Beedrill evolved from Kakuna this turn, the defending Pokemon is now poisoned and paralyzed. Automatic paralysis, automatic poison. Now, couple of things to mention about this. Firstly, it says if Beedrill evolved from Kakuna this turn, which means if you use Rare Candy, it doesn't work. Because if you used Rare Candy, Beedrill will have evolved this turn, but Beedrill will have evolved from Weedle this turn, and that, ladies and gentlemen, that don't count. So, is this any good? I mean, anytime you can get automatic paralysis, it's amazing. We've seen this with Excelgor for ages here. We saw this with Vanillux, which admittedly wasn't automatic paralysis, but it was something like a 15 in 16 chance. It was pretty gosh darn good. Your opponent is sat there, unable to attack, retreat, etc. for a turn. Then you add in the poison. Now, poison is 10 damage between turns. 10 after your turn, 10 after theirs, etc. But it gets better. Because, of course, we've got Seviper nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. Which means at 2 Seviper, you're doing 30 damage between turns. Don't know why I started with 2. Could have started with 1, but I started with 2. I'm not going back now. If you get the full 4 Seviper out, and do remember that will be taxing your bench space if you do, but if you do, you're now doing 50 damage between turns, and your opponent's active Pokemon is paralyzed. For a single energy, let's be clear about this, this is awesome. If your opponent doesn't switch out the active. Because let's face it, there are plenty of ways, ladies and gentlemen, for your opponent to get out the active. They can't retreat, even if they play a Floatstone. There ain't no retreating here, ladies and gentlemen. They stuck in the active, and they're going to gosh darned well like it. But they can use a switch. They can use an escape rope, or they can use a Guzma. Now, interesting thing about Guzma lately, ladies and gentlemen, on the one hand, Guzma is awesome because you can pull up a Pokemon while switching, and you can search it out with Tapu Lele, and you can search Tapu Lele with Ultra Ball. But you can't always afford to use a Guzma. Sometimes you need to draw cards with stuff like Professor Sycamore or N. But not only that, we no longer have Versus Seeker, which means it's not as easy to just use Guzma every single turn like we used to in the past. It's more difficult to get it out, but let's be clear about this. You're still going to be able to use it on a number of occasions. But if your opponent doesn't switch, you get a free turn and you're doing poison damage. Now, this is low. Even if you use a choice band, you're still doing 60 damage by the time it comes back to you. 40 damage, 10 for poison after your turn, 10 for poison after their turn, 60 damage, alright? It's low, ladies and gentlemen, there ain't nothing I can do about that. But it's still quite cool, and if you start bringing in stuff like Choice Band and Survivor, this will start adding up. Now, this would be just plain broken if we hadn't just rotated out / banned Forest of Giant Plants. And I had to mention it in this video, ladies and gentlemen. Look at what Beedrill does. We all know I had to mention this. Now, Forest of Giant Plants rotated out of Standard on the 1st of September. It was banned and expanded on, I think, the 17th or 18th of August. It is gone, ladies and gentlemen, and it ain't coming back. I can't say that. It might come back, but I don't believe it's ever going to come back. And that's actually really good if you're playing against Beedrill. Because having the option to just evolve up, instant poison and paralysis, and then the next turn you play a devolution spray, then re-evolve instant poison and paralysis. Don't forget, of course, that you could be getting Beedrill up on the first turn of the game, doing 60 for 1 energy and donking something like Alolan Vulpix. More on that in a minute. When I say first turn of the game, I mean first turn of the game on which you're allowed to attack. Obviously, if you're going first on the actual first turn of the game, you're not allowed to attack. But you would literally be able to get instant paralysis every single turn. You would just... you'd have 4 Beedrill for starters. They would have free retreat, so you could free retreat into one you've just evolved. So there's 4 goes at round. Plus you've got Devolution Spray. Plus you've got Puzzle of Time. Plus you've got Ace Roller. Plus you've got Super Scoop Up. So when I say every turn, even bearing in mind the relatively low damage output, let's be completely clear about this. If Forest of Giant Plants was not rotated out, once you combined Devolution Spray, Ace Roller, Super Scoop Up and Puzzle of Time, you would literally be able to automatically paralyze and poison your opponent every single turn, and this would be a legit viable rogue deck. Probably a good thing they banned and rotated Forest of Giant Plants. Although don't sleep on Devolution Spray. Because honestly, ladies and gentlemen, if you're committed to this attack, it's really, really good. But you need to use Devolution Spray to keep it going every turn. And like I said, Puzzle of Time, I think it's also quite important to keep this going every turn as well. It's kind of cool. As for the second attack, it's a simple, straightforward, ordinary, everyday, run-of-the-mill garden variety. 60 damage for 1 energy. But it's on a free retreat Pokemon. It's a single energy. It's kind of cool. Add a choice band on there, you're doing 90, which means you're 2-hit KOing stuff like Drampa. But the problem is, you're only doing 190 with weakness. And if we look at the main kind of grass weak GXs, you got Lapras. 190. Well, that's not getting a KO unless you play a Professor Kukui. You've got Lycanroc, 200. You're not getting a KO unless you play a Professor Kukui. You've got Lycanroc, 200. You're not getting a KO unless you play a Professor Kukui. No one actually plays that one anymore, but I thought it would be fun to say the same thing twice in a row. I amuse myself sometimes. So, Beedrill as a whole, it's the first attack here that's exciting, but it's just weighed down by too much, because firstly, it doesn't do very much damage. You've really got to start rocking with stuff like Choice Band and Survivor, and even then it's still quite low damage. And secondly, without Forest of Giant Plants, you've got to evolve up manually, which means it's turn free before you're using this. Now, hopefully it's turn free and every other turn for the rest of the game. Because here's what you do. Let's say you've got 4 Kakuna on the bench. You evolve 1 into Beedrill. You get the poison and paralysis. Next turn you free retreat and add another one. And then every so often, if you've got 4 Beedrill out, you make sure you play Devolution Spray so that next turn you can evolve a Beedrill and go. The thing is, we've also got the really fun Beedrill from Evolutions for 2 energy. It does 40 damage for each Beedrill you have in play to one of your opponent's Pokemon, i.e. you can do up to 160 and you can put it anywhere. So maybe you mostly use this Beedrill and then in the late game you go for a second energy and you use the Evolutions Beedrill to start sniping around some damage. It could be fun. I think in the end it's probably going to be undone by the fact that you're just going to not be doing enough damage. And combine that with a relatively slow speed with having to evolve up manually into a stage 2, I'm going to give Beedrill between 2 and 3 Wassies. And honestly, we don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. And even then, I am feeling a little bit like I'm being too generous. I just don't think it's great. But automatic paralysis, automatic poison, and my boy Beedrill, I, for one, am looking forward to testing this deck, but I want to know what you think about Beedrill. Chuck it down in the comment section, go nuts, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. There's going to be a live stream tonight at 7 PM UK time, so come join in. We're going to be playing some PTCGO. It's going to be fun. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus pods, etc., check out patreon.com/PTCGRadio. I think it's worth it, but, you know, I'm entirely biased. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio. And once again, a huge shout out to Antoine Boulay, who is a lovely man who sent me this card and allowed me to get this video up so quickly. If you like PTCG Radio, you like Antoine Boulay.